Anuj asked just on the live chat on YouTube, shall reach Christchurch at 5:20 p.m. after a 22-hour flight from India and need to drive early morning the next day. Tips to get rid of the jet lag before that.
All right, so let's get rid of the jet lag when arriving in New Zealand. Laura, do you want to get started or do I?
Yeah, I can get started. So the best thing to do to get rid of the jet lag is actually start planning that before getting into New Zealand. There's a few things that you can do actually on your flight or just even before getting your flight to New Zealand. First of all, try and actually start doing your sleep cycle. Try and match it as close as you can to New Zealand. So maybe the night before, if you need to, just try and get your sleep cycle. So if it's night in New Zealand, try going to bed when it's night in New Zealand, for instance. And then when you actually get to the airport and you start taking your flight, there's a few little tips that you can do to stop yourself feeling too tired and actually get over the jet lag, which is try to avoid drinking coffee and try to avoid drinking alcohol. Usually coffee will sort of keep you up at the wrong time and then actually disrupt your sleep pattern later. With the alcohol, that can make you feel really groggy and not necessarily just, it's not healthy for starters, especially on a plane as well when the altitude's higher and it affects you a lot more, and that can affect your sleep pattern as well. And of course, when you're on the flight, usually on the flights at the destination you're heading to, the airline will sort of start helping you adjust to the new time zone by shutting the blinds when it's meant to be night in New Zealand, for instance. And that will help you actually sleep at the right time. So try and sleep at the right time in New Zealand as early as possible to get you in the right rhythm for that. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so just to touch up to the idea of Laura of getting your rhythm. So the way I do it is that I usually set my time on my phone to the time of my destination about a day before I start traveling. It gets a little bit confusing, I get it, but usually there is always a wife or a girlfriend or a friend that will have there for at the right time, so they'll be in charge of that. But that allows you to actually start getting the right rhythm straight away. It's so important to have a very good night of sleep before you take your flight. So if you have your watch at the time of your destination, you'll go to bed let's say 9 or 10 o'clock New Zealand time, for instance, and that's going to give you this kind of sleep. Then you're going to be awake a little bit, you board the plane, and then you kind of sleep that way. I would also prepare myself for some extreme sleeping, especially in the plane, inflatable travel pillows, travel mask, all those kind of things. You're going to need to actually sleep in the plane because you mentioned you'll be in the plane for 22 hours and you want to be at the rhythm of New Zealand. So when you're going to be arriving in New Zealand, you want to be if you arrive in New Zealand in 9 a.m., you need to actually be fresh, waking up and ready to go, because otherwise that's going to break your sleeping pattern. So, invest in a couple of extra things that's going to really help you. And finally, when you arrive in New Zealand, you're going to be absolutely exhausted. But as I mentioned, it may be 10 a.m. in the morning. You don't want to go to bed straight away because otherwise you're going to carry that jet lag for weeks. Trust me. So you're going to want to keep yourself busy. So start doing a few things. Plan a couple of things to check out maybe. I know, Anuj, for your case personally, I know that you have a really full-on itinerary. So get a couple of things to do. Go to a restaurant. Go to walk around the city. Kind of enjoy it. And keep yourself busy until 9. Try to stay awake until 9 or 10 on the day when you arrive in New Zealand. Then go to bed. Once you've done that, you're just gonna feel a little bit tired the next day, and then you should be good to go afterwards. So I can't stress that enough.
I was just gonna say you'll definitely find that when you arrive in New Zealand, you'll probably be a little bit have some energy from the adrenaline of basically, as you've said, Anuj, this is your first trip abroad, planning an international trip. So you'll definitely have some adrenaline to keep you awake anyway. So don't worry about wanting to fall asleep in the middle of the day in New Zealand. I know when I first arrived in New Zealand as well, I was wide awake during the day because you're in a new place and that just really keeps you whoa, you need to be, awake.
Now I'm just going to touch a little bit about the all those either pills or drinks that you see, that's supposed to help with jet lag and flying like, what's this thing, like 1 degree above or whatever. Honestly, I tried those things. I went down this rabbit hole. None of the things actually working. It is absolutely nonsense. Don't fall for that. Okay. I personally feel it's absolutely nonsense. I tried them once. From my experience, it's nonsense. I don't know if they're actually 100% nonsense. It may work for some people, may not work for some other. You may need to drink like 20 of those bottles to make it work. I don't really know how that works, but yeah, I tried those things and not good experience. But what about you guys on the chat? Actually, did you ever try one of those things? Even try like buy one of those special flying drinks? And did you fly?
Yeah.
Would you drink and did you fly? Is that how it works?
I think there's like tablets called calms and things like that, which you be super mellow when you're on the flight.
Yeah, so if you guys have some personal experience trying those things, please tell us in the comment. Like for me, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's basically our tips for fighting jet lag when arriving in New Zealand. It is not that bad. A lot of people actually are very scared of it, but then just a little tired and you'll be good. So if you ever done a hard days of work in your life, you'll be all good.
We'll definitely have more tips actually on our various different articles on the subject, which again we'll link up in the description when we do the rebroadcast of this video.
Yep.
Yeah. Otherwise, like and subscribe.